submitted an amicus brief. So for everyone out there who's like, what are you so-called lawyers doing about it? We do things.
Sure. Well, and I think it comes down to, and this is really what it's all about. We are the Armed Attorneys. Today we're talking about an update in the Attorney General for the state of Texas suing the city of Dallas in connection to folks being able to lawfully carry their firearms for self-defense at the Texas State Fair. Now, this has been a little fun saga. We did a video about this a couple of weeks ago. The AG, put the screws on them, said, hey, guess what? Y'all need to change your policy, and if you don't in 15 days, I'm going to sue you. That has since happened, and I think it raises some interesting issues about just legislating how these laws go into effect and kind of gaming out how we see these municipalities and counties just completely blow this stuff off and abuse Second Amendment rights. But before we begin, show your support for the Second Amendment by hitting the like button.
And just by way of brief reminder, what happened? Well, the Texas State Fair, the most Texas place on earth, said something very un-Texan and very unchill to the Second Amendment. They said, absolutely not, nobody's going to be able to carry guns into the State Fair this year, which is unprecedented. And, as it turns out, illegal Texas State Fair. But gigantic chaos ensued here in the state of Texas because we don't care for that kind of behavior. And the state fair dug their heels in and said, nope, MFers, we are not budging on this one. And so turns out we do have this little law in Texas that says if you are the government, you are not allowed to ban firearms. This is not anything which would be off limits by law. And so you might be saying to yourself, they're just trying to get away with blatantly violating the law. Well, no. There is a gray area to that law, which is what is going to be litigated here. What is that gray area?
So what we have is, if you want to check it out, it's Texas Government Code 411-209. This is the wrongful exclusion of license holders who want to carry handguns into certain locations. We have this general prohibition or restriction that holds the government back, saying, hey, guess what, government? You just can't make any place off limits that you want to. We have a list of statutorily enumerated places that are, the government could legitimately exclude firearms if they want to. Think mental hospitals, think courts, jails, things, think of those locations. So we have this enumerated list. We have this law saying you can't ban guns generally out in public, but you can go back to this list if you want to. You can keep guns out of those locations. Well, all right, that sounds all well and good, but now we have this intermingling of government and private entities. In this case, the State Fair of Texas is a 501c3 organization, nonprofit organization. And so when you have these two kind of organizations working together, it kind of mangles up the issue a little bit, but I think the law is on our side on this one.
I think the law is on our side. So the issue that is presented here is, yes, it is the Texas State Fair. It is government property. However, the Texas State Fair is administered by a 501c3. And if it's the 501c3 choosing to prohibit guns, well, that's not the government. Government can't control that at all. We're not breaking the law. But of course, they are breaking the law. The Attorney General of Texas has filed that lawsuit, and yours truly, although carried mostly on the back of Richard because I had a client issue, so thank you, Richard, credit where credit is due, submitted an amicus brief. So for everyone out there who's like, what are you so-called lawyers doing about it? We do things.
Sure. Well, and I think it comes down to, and this is really what it's all about, because you look at, obviously we write laws. The laws have a meaning. The meaning has to be, you presume that, hey, guess what? When we wrote this law and it says something and it says not to do something, you have to imagine that the intent was to effectuate that purpose, right?
Sure.
Well, what we have here is in that statute that holds the government back, it says any action by the government. And what we have here with the State Fair of Texas and the city of Dallas, this isn't a arm's length transaction where they say, all right, throws them the keys, fairgrounds are yours, go nuts. This is a very...
Well, I mean, this isn't, sorry to jump on you and interrupt here, but imagine, I think about Houston.
Yeah.
And I think about the George R. Brown Convention Center.
Yep.
The George R. Brown, that is publicly administered, However, when the local, let's just give the example of the gun show, because they do this quite frequently. When the gun show comes in and just signs the lease with the city of Houston to come in for the weekend, and they say, all right, you can't carry your firearms in here if they're your actual personal carry fire. Like, the city, that is very much arm's length. The city's like, yeah, you're renting out the George R. Brown for the weekend.
Yeah.
Pay your rent and, tell us how much, tell us if you want our security contractors, if you want to get your own. I mean, I don't know. It's very much arm's length.
Yes, and these two things are very, very interwoven. And the example, and we didn't say this in the amicus brief, but you think about this. If the government could just create charities who are in charge of all the doors and all the government buildings in the state of Texas, and it's like, y'all are in charge of administering the doors, and they chose to exclude firearms, they could completely walk around this entire law if they wanted to. So
every public park, every city building, every, literally everything would just be run by a 501c3.
Yeah, so
no guns.
So what you do is you say, all right, we got this law. If it gets administered the way that the city of Dallas and the State Fair of Texas are doing it, this law is completely meaningless. So there has to be, obviously, some limits on this thing.
They're due. They're due. Sometimes it don't be like it is.
But the city of Dallas do.
That's the sleep deprivation getting to me. But so I don't know if that's going to get cut or not. If it is, sorry. I have young children. Okay. So, but what is going to happen now? And this is probably the thing that is most important to talk about in the saga, because the lawsuit has been filed. Now, an answer is due from the Texas State Fair and the city of Dallas and whomever else is named. And that answer is due right before the fair starts?
Yeah, if my lawyer math is correct, I think it's due on the 16th of September. The fair opens up on the 27th.
So the wheels of justice turn extraordinarily slowly. So what's going to happen? How is this lawsuit going to proceed before the fair is over? What's going to happen?
Yeah, it's not likely going to proceed. But I will say,
nothing's going to happen. There's going to be time for anything to happen before the fair is over.
But if they wrongfully exclude, because the fair runs for about a month, but if they wrongfully exclude a person or people, every day during the length of the fair, this could be, we're talking $500,000 in fines.
Yeah,
it's a lot of money.
That is a lot of money, but nothing's going to happen. Basically, people are going to be excluded every day.
Yeah.
There is no way that a judge is going to get this thing scheduled for a hearing on a preliminary injunction or even, for a TRO. There's no way that gets scheduled before the fair is over.
Yeah, I don't see it happening.
It would be great. It would be great if whoever's court this lands in, I don't know what it is now. I haven't checked.
It's a Dallas County judge.
It's not somebody I know, so I've just not checked. But it would be great if that judge was like, you know what? This is really important. We're going to schedule this real fast. This is a priority. We're on a rocket docket. But that's not going to happen. The judges are in on it. It's not going to happen.
Well, and I'll say, all right, so we've had over 60 lawmakers join on a letter to the State Fair and to the city of Dallas saying, hey, cut this stuff out. But the things that y'all can do to help, their phones are getting blown up. And I would say, election season right around the corner. Really important to go talk to your legislator if you live here in the state of Texas. Since campaigns are, some of these kickoffs are happening right about now. So go meet your person at a town hall and let them know that this is ridiculous. Also, we probably need to bump the fine up on that.
We probably need to bump
right now.
$10,000 a day is not enough.
No, not to make the State Fair do what they need to do.
No, apparently not. The risk should be so great that the State Fair should look and say, if there is even a chance that we're violating the law and that we're going to be fined, we can't risk it.
Yeah, that's the way it should be.
You don't risk it for your brisket.
Now I want Buc-ee's.
But anyway, that is just, yes, if you live in the state of Texas, call your lawmaker. I still think that we should be politely encouraging the State Fair to change their minds.
Yes, respectfully.
Even though they've said that they will not change their minds, you know what? You just keep calling. I'll keep calling.
But we hope you enjoyed this discussion. If you did, consider subscribing, hitting that like button, and help us fight the anti-2A algorithm by sharing this video.
And please question and comment for us below. Until next time, we're the Armed Attorneys.